Okay, so joining me today is Jason Boer, CEO of RightCrowd. Been in the security industry for 30 years. Amazing career. Worked for HID.
I did.
At one point.
I did. I'm having flashbacks a little bit, but yes.
It all comes full circle. You know, whenever you're at a trade show, to me, one of the best parts of a trade show is getting to see all the people.
The people, for sure.
It's the
the
people.
relationships.
Yes, the products are great, and
Yep.
to see the demos is fine, but the best part of it for gristled
Agreed.
veterans like
100%.
this is just to be able to see people.
Agree.
Yeah. So
Especially in a city like New Orleans.
exactly. So long as we all make it out of here
That's right.
unscathed, which
3 long days.
it'll be interesting. We'll see who drops off by day 2. So I've got notes because whenever you get to interview a CEO, I don't want to go too far off script,
Fair.
but I'm really interested about picking your brain about RightCrowd in general, because I feel like that there is this convergence happening right now. As I walked around the trade show, the thing that sticks out to me in terms of like industry trends, like if somebody said, what's the trend at this show?
Yeah.
To me, I say the trend is intelligence and being able to do something with all this data that we've collected. I can't tell you how many booths I've counted where on the booth somewhere is the word intelligence and what we're doing with intelligence. And I can think of no better partner that HID works with than RightCrowd to take all of these disparate systems and putting them all together to make them do something intelligent.
Sure.
So, I guess before I even get into my questions is like,
Yeah.
what do you guys do and how can you solve that intelligence problem?
Sure. So RightCrowd plays in what we refer to as the PIM space, so physical identity and access management. It's a company that was started a little over 20 years ago in Australia. And it was for entities and organizations that typically have a lot of complexity, right? So they either have a lot of identities that they have to manage, be it either visitor or employees, or they might have a very disparate real estate footprint where they have multiple access control systems. Their IT landscape can also be diverse, and they're looking for a software platform that can help bridge those gaps. So typically those are the institutions that deploy something like what RightCrowd does, is we've got a tremendous amount of depth. We originally focused within the mining community in Australia, so we had a number of customers in that domain, but we began to branch out into other vertical markets as we move forward too that also share some of the same problems, right? So whether it's banking, we've got a number of banking customers, technology customers, critical infrastructure, utility providers, nuclear power plants, things like that. We got a little bit of depth in higher education, which I think is another area between mobile and also what we do where there's some opportunities as we move forward. So I think we're still kind of just scratching the surface across these multiple vertical markets.
Right.
But people are, to your point, is I think we've been talking about convergence probably for 20 years it feels like, exactly, right? With some progress, but I think we are finally kind of getting to that tipping point where there's a tremendous amount of opportunities to begin to kind of connect the IT side of the world along with the physical security world in a way that we haven't before.
Completely agree. When I'm talking to an IT department, I'm now getting the sense that, I don't want to say that they're driving the ship, but they recognize how critical it is for multiple stakeholders at an end user organization to be involved, because we can't just continue to operate in these silos and expect the outcomes that we want. It really does take this converged mindset.
We're seeing it, I mean, even probably at a more accelerated pace than what we've seen over the past several years, is you can't continue to layer in additional applications across the enterprise. They're looking to make sure that these things are integrated in a way that provides efficiency. And when you look at access control, I don't know if anybody rolls out of bed saying, hey, I want to go spend more money, more dollars in access control. It's more about risk management, right? And providing all of the security that's needed for the organization, but also the convenience and the experience in a unique way for the end user.
Right.
So that also resonates.
I also think it goes far beyond now just like keeping the bad people out and the good people in. It really is more about the management of the identity. Who are you within this organization, and where do you belong, and what certifications do you require, and all that stuff.
Exactly.
And that should inform the schedule and the access control rules, not necessarily the other way around. And I think that's where you guys have this really interesting sweet spot.
Agreed.
So, like I said, I have a couple of questions here that I wanted to hit you with, and it should come as no surprise that the mobile guy has a question about mobile, because RightCrowd, as many folks would know, and for those who don't, got an awesome integration to be able to provision a mobile wallet credential via your platform to many other platforms, right? This is one of the key benefits of working with a technology integration partner is you can land that credential in a multitude of different access control systems all sort of seamlessly and at the same time, which is amazing. The question that I have here is, are you seeing mobile as like this new inflection point? Is it mobile? Is it biometric? What do you guys see that maybe the rest of the industry is not so quick to adopt just yet?
Yeah, I mean, going back to my time at HID, as I was there whenever we rolled out and we piloted the first I-Class reader with Bluetooth functionality, which I think went all the way back to almost like 2007 when HID was still in Irvine. I remember sticking a reader on the wall, right? So it's not like the technology is necessarily new. I think it's continued to be refined, and I think there's some things obviously that the industry's learned. But whether it's biometrics or mobile, or there's still a number of entities that we deal with that still want to see that physical card on the person, I think you're going to see a lot of different requirements even across the same organization, right? So they might have very much of a layered approach around how they want to authenticate people in and out of the building, and they can mix and match, and that's kind of the beauty of RightCrowd. There's a lot of people that offer mobile credentials today in the access control space. Almost everybody does, right? I think the reason behind why someone would entertain buying a credential from somebody like RightCrowd is the fact that we do begin to hopefully make it a little bit simpler in terms of the rollout of that mobile credential. So if they do have multiple access control systems, obviously we've got that covered. Number of different reader and infrastructure platforms that we are also integrated with. You know, HID obviously has the largest market share within that space, so I think it's a great partnership with HID, but I think it enables the end user to begin to approach it based on what makes sense for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the other buzzword, other than intelligence, is artificial intelligence, like this whole AI thing. And I know RightCrowd has leaned heavily into the AI world. Can you explain what it is, how it is that you're leveraging AI?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think it's, again, all about usability in the interface, right? We've got a very extensive UI and UX focus within RightCrowd on making sure that our platform is cutting edge. But I think people are becoming more and more familiar with what an interface looks like relative to AI, where it's much more prompt-driven, right? Right. So
it's almost more conversational.
It is very much conversational, right? So I mean, as you begin to think about how that would apply to the access control industry, is we're focused here initially around, from a usability standpoint, is how do you go in and request access, let's say, to a facility or that you're visiting next week, or you need access to this area which you didn't previously have before. All of that can be driven through some type of smart chat or chat-based robot that you can begin to integrate back into the access control system. Obviously, all this has to be approved, right? So a lot of the same workflows that you're going to have relative to trying to get physical badge approval is you can automate all of that on the back end. And I think you can also take the technology, and to our point earlier around integrations, is it doesn't necessarily have to be logging into RightCrowd every time to do a transaction like that. It's looking at platforms like Teams, right, or ServiceNow, or Google Chat, or Slack, where the end user is already using those tools on a daily basis. They want to use the same tools to manage access in and out of the building. RightCrowd then could sit underneath to help manage all of that and continue to provide all the functionality that the administrators need, but give the end user a piece of functionality that they're used to using.
So I think that's really interesting, because you could see, maybe it's like 1 or 2 steps away from being able to go into a Teams chat or being able to go into a Slack channel with RightCrowd
100%.
and say, hey, I need access to the building in Paris next week.
Exactly.
And just have that whole conversation with the
AI,
AI,
in the background.
And then everything gets connected in the background.
That's the intent.
That I'm looking forward to seeing that, because that, to me, that's the dream.
We can demo it when we get down here.
There you go. So you could do it today, even better.
Yes.
So last question, and not to go dark, but what are the types of threats that keep you up at night? Like, what are the things that you're trying to prevent from happening?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to security at the end of the day, and that's why we're here, right? So making sure that the system operates the way that it should, that it's 100% uptime, is I think one of the challenges for RightCrowd in the past has been the majority of our deployments have been much more of an on-prem based model, which is fine, and there's still organizations that prefer to have an on-prem based deployment. But there's definitely been an embracing of cloud
Oh,
in a much
absolutely.
quicker pace over the last 5 to 10 years. And at RightCrowd, equally so, is we've got a cloud offering that I think from a availability standpoint is it's much higher, I think, than some of the things that they might have seen on the on-prem side. So how do we make sure that we're improving, again, the experience and the usability both for the end user, but also the administrator who has to deal with all this complexity
Sure.
in the background. So I think for us, it's availability and making sure that we're able to add some value on top of just opening up doors.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that I don't think people necessarily put that much stock in, as much as they should, is uptime, right? And these are mission critical systems. They can't go down, and I think one of the downsides or perceived downsides of cloud is that somehow there could be a hiccup and it may not be as reliable as on-prem. But you're saying cloud could actually be more reliable.
I think it could, but depending on the environment and the customer, right, and how much they've invested in their infrastructure. I think relying on people that wake up and do that on a daily basis is usually not a bad thing.
So if people want to learn more about RightCrowd, they want to get a demo, they want to see this in their facility, how do they go about doing that?
Reach out, RightCrowd.com.
Okay.
Right, there's a contact us button on there, right? So feel free to click in and enter your data, and we'd be more than happy to reach out.
Fantastic. Follow us on LinkedIn, comment, like, and subscribe. If you'd like to learn more about RightCrowd, obviously RightCrowd.com. You can also get in contact with me. All my contact information will be listed below. Jason.
Very good.
Thank you very much for your time, sir.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
All right.